It's different here, where it all begins. Here there is peace, a freedom far removed from the racetrack. This is where the turf, by nature and through it, inspires its dreamers to dream big dreams. Down the track, when every split second and every stride counts, the gentle whispers will be replaced by wild roars. The red gums and ironbarks by packed grandstands, and the sweet clover by grasses designed not for eating, but scorching. In Australia, by demand, high fashion and hunger, thoroughbreds chase the quick buck. Just over the hill, 2-year-old racers carry world record millions in prize money, the winners of which dash off to stud almost as quickly as they dashed in. But the less fashionable take another road, not over any hill, but over mountains. Here treads racing's gladiator. He belongs not to royalty, but to the people. He is more about grit than grace, bludgeon than ballet. For him, there is the duel and there is the dance.
Better loosen up on the outside, going home, better loosen up, takes the Cox Plate.
Superimpose, he's come through between horses, he's going to do it. It's history at Randwick. Superimpose.
Better loosen up and Superimpose, let's elope in front, Superimpose driving, Super. He's better loosen up and out, better loosen up in the middle's put his in front, better loosen up as well for Australia.
Better Loosen Up and Superimpose went down the hard road. From inauspicious beginnings, they campaigned year in, year out to become the highest stakes earners in Australian turf history. Together, they totaled a $10 million fortune. They wore away at greatness, taking their young trainers along for the ride. This is their story. It's not about two out-and-out champions who had it all their own way. It's about adversity, beating the odds, an insight to the Australian way of having a go. Dawn, Flemington. Lee Friedman, like his horses, steps out relaxed, ready to conquer. He's still a few years short of his 40th birthday, yet already he has trained the winners of a couple of Melbourne Cups, Epsom and Doncaster Handicaps. In the spring of 1992, in just 3 whirlwind weeks, and with 3 different horses, he rode roughshod over the Caulfield Cup, the WS Cox Plate, and the Melbourne Cup. Lee Friedman was always going to be a super trainer. To kick off, all he needed was a super horse. And at the 1986 Trentham Yearling Sales in New Zealand, he didn't just find a super horse, he found the super horse, Superimpose.
Yeah, I looked at every yearling in the sale, and that involved some 400 horses, and he was probably the nicest horse I could find there. He wasn't the most correct, but he seemed to be the most athletic horse that I saw there.
I remember saying specifically, what do you need to take the next step as a trainer? And he said, I need somebody to give us some money so I can go to New Zealand and buy what I want to buy. Well, he rang me from New Zealand and said, I've seen 3 horses I really like. And he said one meets the criteria that we wanted, and the main criteria was I wanted a Zamazan horse. And he said, I think we won't be able to afford him, and the horse turned out to be Bozam. He said, I've seen another horse which I like, which I think will probably make too much money, and that was Sky Chase. And he said, I've seen a beautiful, imposing horse which meets the criteria, and it was Superimpose. So
$40,000 is what he cost. This striking chestnut son of imposing, the 79 Epsom Handicap winner from the Taipan mare Feroz Fancy. But his papers had barely passed through the registrar when trouble struck.
When he was being broken in, he went up and had a look at him, and he had the beginnings of bowed tendons in both front legs. So we stopped breaking him straight away, and then gelded him and turned him out, and he ran around up at Yarara in the hills there for about 9 or 10 months before we even got him back in and tried him again. And, you know, it's a good recommendation for giving horses plenty of time because it obviously worked for him.
So it wasn't until December the 28th, 1987, his 3-year-old year, that Superimpose made it to the races. And it wasn't Royal Randwick, not even a metropolitan course. Seymour, a 1,200-metre maiden. Super had won an Epsom barrier trial and went out 6-4 favourite, carrying the red, white and black silks, immortalised by Carbine.
And Klondike Superimpose got away though 100 metres from home, got clear of Mighty Kayaru, running home Klondike. It raced in on top of the other one on the inside of it, Shifty's boy, but Superimpose. 2 good wins at 3 lengths to Mighty Kayaru, Klondike third.
It was going to be easy, right? Wrong. Super lost his next 5 races straight before saluting at Benalla in the late autumn. Here at Flemington, 2 runs later, he missed the kick, raced back in the field, but flashed home, for the first time almost accidentally, hinting of his preferred style of racing, the spine-tingling kind.
Well, we didn't really work that out until I think it was a winter meeting in May or June at Flemington, and I think Darren Gouchy rode him, and we decided that we'd ride him a bit quieter that day, and as it turned out he sort of missed the start a bit, and he ended up about 2 or 3 lengths behind the second last horse. So I think Darren thought at that stage, well, it's a good opportunity to ride him as quiet as possible, and he flashed home and got beaten a neck, I think. And you know, it was obviously a great improvement on what we'd been doing with the horse, riding him close to the lead and finding out that he wasn't quite getting to the line.
At the 100, Sakeo clean by Chetford. Dettanew and Superimpose coming at them. Dettanew at a great rate. Chetford in front. Chetford hanging on from Superimpose and Dettanew. And Chetford won it. Chetford first in a 3-way photo, I'd say, from Superimpose second.
Even then, it was another 7 runs before Super even began to realise his potential. The date, November the 26th. The race, the listed Eclipse Stakes at Sandown.
Superimpose hit the lead, 250 out from Wolver Action, Crown Ridge, Our Watchman, and then Be Reasonable. Superimpose is the leader with 100 to go, drawing away under hands and heels from Crown Ridge and Be Reasonable, and Superimpose is going to break through. Superimpose scores by 2 lengths to Crown Ridge.
The signs were there when he went to Sydney. He'd won the Eclipse and then he won the Summer Cup, and we knew we had a pretty smart handicap type horse.
But look at Superimpose, he's closing on them very quickly. He's got them covered, and the top weight Superimpose shot to the lead 100 out, and he's going to win the Summer Cup in a canter. Superimpose well backed, and he's racing away to win easily over Moniusco. And
it was almost as if someone had turned a page in history. Superimpose, at his first sighting of Randwick, had won the Group 3 Summer Cup. And suddenly the red horse had this red-haired kid, this lover of horses, by his side. Remember Farlap and Tommy Woodcock? The way their relationship touched the nation?
Well, he had his own affinity with the horse. The horse knew him and he knew the horse. I think, then again, there was a bond there too. And naturally there was, such a great horse, but I sort of don't sort of put myself in the same category as Tommy Woodcock. I sort of do my own thing with Super, and it's just the way people sort of phrased it.
Back to Melbourne, where Super chased home Vo Rogue in the CF and St George Stakes before finally sidestepping the gallant Queenslander in the Group 2 Carlisle Cup at Caulfield.
Superimpose has got through the field now to challenge strongly, and then Dandy Andy, 200 to go, and Superimpose race to the lead from Black Charleston. Dandy Andy down the outside with 100 to go. Superimpose is over 2 lengths in front. In fact, he's coming away, and Superimpose wins it by about 2 lengths.
In retrospect, Vo Rogue had been doing Super a favour. Had it not been for the Vo, he would have won 7 races straight and been weighted out of any handicap race in the future. Super soon found another opponent he could not match strides with, the heavens above. Unseasonably heavy rains meant that he didn't even get to the track in Sydney that autumn, and the black clouds shadowed his float to Brisbane. The media and racing folk alike tagged him the Rain Man. Super, it was said, could break the drought in the Simpson. In the spring of '89, it was clear sailing.
Below the 400 now, and small ask for Vogue. Leads under the whip by a length and a half. Researchers running on very powerfully, and now Superimpose closing strongly. Superimpose has raced to the lead from Vogue, who found nothing. Research got the second, but Superimpose at the 100 drew away from Research. Vogue out of a place with Citizen finishing well, but Superimpose by 2. Research second, and third is Citizen.
After 3 lead-up races, Super took his place in the first of his 3 Melbourne Cups. Darren Gauci was his jockey.
Well, it was a great run. I thought it was a very good ride. He made use of an inside barrier and gave the horse the easiest possible run most of the trip. Got out, had the race won, and it was just the horse who was probably better equipped for 2 miles and a little bit better weighted that beat him on the day. But it was one of his greatest runs, I feel.
When they turn for home, in the straight they race in the Melbourne Cup. Cood's the leader. Superimpose is ranging up now. It's the danger. Superimpose, and down the outside, Lord Highbrow, and Terrific with a great run. It's Superimpose getting to the front with about 200 metres to go. Gauci riding hard. Here's the stablemate, Terrific. Fighting back is Cood's. Here's a great go. 200 to go. Terrific coming at Superimpose. Terrific doing better in the Melbourne Cup, and Terrific is going to win the Cup. Terrific gets up to win. Superimpose is second.
Super had only a short break, returning in January. Through February and March, he placed behind Better Loosen Up and Vogue in the Orr, the Blamey and the Australian Cup, before heading to Sydney for an appointment with history. Rain forced him out of the BMW, his main mission, and into the Doncaster. Or was it destiny?
On top of the gates, and they steady. They're off and running. Stargazer slow to move as a clear last out of the barrier. Comrade also dwelt slightly. Marimbula Bay bounced out in front, beginning quickly. Lightning Bend. Our Westminster was away like a flash, and so was Groucho, followed by Shaftesbury Avenue. Our Krona Happy Sailing, and then Don't Play, Spot the Rock, and Wong is prominent but trapped out very deep, followed by Eastern Classic. At the head of the others, Our Poverty Bay. Comrade very wide, can't get in, and then Windsor's Pal, and further back in the field in the run to the first turn came Stargazer, improving after that slow start. A long way out of his ground at that point came Lig on Arms, Our Grey Invader, followed by Rajamar, and Superimposes last as they come to the crossing at the 800, and Wong went to the lead by a length and a half to Lightning Bend, and then Spot the Rock. Marimbula Bay, Comrade travelling wide. Further back is Groucho on the inside of Shaftesbury Avenue, followed by Our Westminster. Our Poverty Bay deep at the head of the others. Windsor's Pal, followed by Our Krona, Don't Play, Happy Sailing well back, and then Our Grey Invader, Stargazer, Superimpose, Memphis Blues, Eastern Classic, Lig on Arms, and that's the order as they come around the turn, and back with the tail enders. Rajamar into the straight. Wong is just the leader over last year's winner, Marimbula Bay. Shaftesbury Avenue third, and then Spot the Rock and Comrade, who made the bend very wide, followed on the fence by Groucho, and then Our Krona, followed by Happy Sailing. Our Poverty Bay as they top the rise, where Shaftesbury Avenue shot clear. Look at Our Grey Invader. Our Grey Invader coming from near last has run into second place, is coming after Shaftesbury Avenue, and Superimpose is jumping out of the ground. Superimpose is rapidly overhauling Shaftesbury Avenue. Shaftesbury Avenue still in front. Superimpose wide out, lunged and got up to win the Doncaster. He's come from near last. Superimpose beat Shaftesbury Avenue. Third, Our Grey Invader, who died on his run. Happy Sailing fourth, followed by Rajamar.
Half an hour after the race, we were celebrating up in the bar, and they just poured. And I mean, if the race had been run half an hour later, he wouldn't have won it.
Just as taking life too seriously can be a trap, destiny is to be marvelled at, not dissected. But consider this for just a moment. Super's sire won one of these big miles, and the Friedman's father, Tony, built these apartments right above the mile chute. And this was just the beginning. Super welcomed in the spring with a first-up win in the Warwick Stakes. And Sydney punters sent him out a 2-to-1 on favourite for the Chelmsford.
Gradually overhauling Stargazer. Stargazer still in front. Superimpose is not going to pick him up, and Stargazer's going to lead all the way to win the Chelmsford over Superimpose.
Could be a little bit unreliable. When he was most expected to win, he didn't, and when he was least expected to win, he did. And I think that's what set him apart from most horses. He could do the impossible and make it look easy, and the other horses, certainly couldn't do the impossible.
Still, punters never booed him when he failed. Not Super. Sure, he had failings, but at day's end, that seemed part of his attraction. He wasn't perfect, but
I knew how quick he could go, and when he does go, you sort of know it. He travels so easy, and it's like driving a Rolls Royce, and the others are on Volkswagens. He just he goes past them as though they're stuck to the rail. It's a great feeling.
And ready for the Epsom. The stalls fly open and they're off and running. And Don't Play wide out is about the first out. Paul Landick and Liverstone Lane began well, and so did Ricochet Rosie. Shaftesbury Avenue was away like a flash. Go Bush is handy soon after the start, and then Arc Regal out Poverty Bay. Comrade followed by Cheval Cavalier. Alquoz midfield and about 3 deep. Behind those Notorious Deed, Happy Sailing very wide, and then Kessam Hunter well back with Fairy Dreams, Remember Peter. Superimpose third last, Prince Salieri second last, dropping out to last now, and getting past him is our Grey Invader. In the run to the first turn, and Liverstone Lane goes to the lead. In second place, Arc Regal, Ricochet Rosie third. Don't Play a bit deep, and Shaftesbury Avenue in a beautiful spot, 1 horse off the rail. A length and a half to Comrade, Go Bush on the fence, and then Paul Landick, Cheval Cavalier out Poverty Bay, Happy Sailing, Notorious Deed. Alquoz a little bit worse than midfield, back with him Fairy Dreams, followed by Kessam. Superimpose in front of about 4 as they near the turn, and they include Hunter, Remember Peter, our Grey Invader, and Prince Salieri. They're packing up at the 600 mark, and Liverstone Lane is being pressured now by Arc Regal. Don't Play makes a line of 3. Right around the outside, Paul Landick, and then Comrade, followed by Ricochet Rosie. Shaftesbury Avenue waiting for a run as they come over the rise, and further back, Go Bush. Our Poverty Bay is coming out of the pack, and Superimpose down the outside. Many chances at the 200. Liverstone Lane, Don't Play, Comrade. Our Poverty Bay is joining in, and here's Paul Landick and Superimpose right down the extreme outside. Is he going to win another big Randwick mile? Superimpose, a super horse. What a horse. Superimpose beat Our Poverty Bay in the Epsom. Ricochet Rosie third.
I didn't spoil him too much. It's just, well, I did in some ways, but not a heck of a lot. A lot of things were done different. Just fussed over him more, you know, made sure everything was spot on, especially leading up into a big race and that. Just had to make sure he was happy and calm. But I think he had a mind of his own. Can get quite cantankerous sometimes when he didn't get things his own way. But most of the time, you know, generally he was well behaved and just didn't worry about anything.
Awaiting Super at the finish of this race was a 3-month ban. This is the day he bled. The day he was entitled to throw it in, but didn't.
In the straight, and Mickeystown hit the front. Stargazer fights back the run for Citizen in the middle. Then Eastern Classic. Citizen took the split. He's raced to the front now from Mickeystown. Here's Superimpose, but Citizen's got a break by 2. Superimpose rattling home. Citizen a neck. He wins it. Citizen a neck to Superimpose.
Well, it was very disappointing because the horse was in terrific form, and he probably should have won the Caulfield Stakes and beaten Citizen. And yeah, it was a very hard thing to swallow when he bled, but we put him out and gave him the time, and we just forgot about the rest of the spring, obviously.
He returned in the summer as if nothing had happened, winning the Chester Manifold and finishing midfield in the Ore before taking his well-worn path to Sydney. And once there, he had a new jockey to knock around with, Darren Beedman.
Well, it probably started from Lee Friedman. I was used to work in the stables for his father when I was 12 years old, so there's been an association with Lee, so that probably helped when my name was thrown in the hat. And Chris Briggins, the managing owner of the horse, Superimpose, rang me to partner the horse and ride him all through his campaign.
Straight, Mr. Exclusive, fill the bill. Royal Creation, Superimpose on the extreme outside, but he's in overdrive now, and Superimpose has raced up to head them at the 200 mark. Superimpose draws clear of Royal Creation, who's hanging on gamely. Dr. Grace is plugging away on the outside. Superimpose, though, about a neck in front. Royal Creation's making him stretch as they come to the line. Oh, he had a pretty hard gallop, Superimpose, but he gets there by about a half neck to Royal Creation.
His next start was the Group 1 Randwick Stakes.
Grace making a fast move on the outside.
Well, I think it was the first time when you really knew he had champion qualities, because the night before he wouldn't have been able to race. He was still under treatment, getting his foot bathed, and we couldn't get a shoe on the foot. And the next morning he appeared to be a lot better, and we got the power around early and put a plate on him and we sprinted him up a furlong to know what we were doing, and Scott reported that the horse felt very good, and we fitted a plate to the horse with a bit of padding under it and sent him up for the Randwick, and of course he jumped out, and after he'd gone about 200 metres, the specially fitted plate flew off his foot and he ran around barefoot, and I think broke the race record and won by 2 or 3 lengths. So, you know, he had amazing ability to overcome setbacks, which he'd been able to do all his life. Just about before every race, he used to have some sort of niggling thing that would pop up, and but as quickly as it'd appear, he'd get over it again.
Fill the bill and a length last, Superimpose with Friedman biding his time. Now they're starting to pack up as they come down the side to the 600 mark. It's Waikiki, the leader. Strokes on the outside, having another shot at the New Zealand mare. Dr. Grace in 3rd place. He wants to drop the bid. He's being hard ridden now. And then Royal Creation. Superimpose is starting to sneak up behind those leaders, and Fill the bill is last of the 6 as they turn for home. Superimpose goes 4 deep on the turn. He looks to be travelling comfortably as they straighten up. In the stretch, and Strokes put the head in front of Dr. Grace. Royal Creation not getting a lot of room. Friedman hasn't popped the question yet on Super. Now he does, and Superimpose on the outside raced up to hit the front at the 200 mark. Royal Creation getting through into 2nd place, but Superimpose quickly beat off Royal Creation. He wanted to duck in a bit, but he is striding away, and he adds to his magnificent record. Superimpose.
Back on a roll again. They sent him out a 2-1 on favourite, this time in the BMW, and you wouldn't want to know.
Superimpose will run last. Dr. Grace still in front. Shazora, as game as they come, is trying to pick him up, but she won't reach last year's Derby winner, and Dr. Grace leads most of the way to win the BMW. 2nd, Shazora. 3rd, Castletown. 4th, Centro. 5th, Siddiston, and 8 lengths away. Stone last is Superimpose.
I really can't throw any light on it this time now for further on, but at the time I must admit I was very worried about the horse. He was very listless before the race. He ran poorly and he wasn't really himself for a day or two after it, and of course the same situation as in years before. We had to accept for the Doncaster if we were going to run on the Tuesday, and as it happened, if it had been run on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, he'd have run very poorly because he wasn't well. And anyway, towards the end of the latter part of the week, we were very happy. He started to pick up really well, and I'd say by Friday he was back to as good as he'd been before, and we were quite pleased with him. But as to what happened that day, I think it will just remain one of the great mysteries of the turf.
Just 7 days until the Doncaster, an age of despair. Everyone was under pressure, the horse, the stable. The public expected Chief Steward John Schreck, the sheriff, to at least order Super to barrier trial before the big race.
Common sense must apply when deciding each case as to its true justice and merits. And in the case of Superimpose that particular time, we thought about it, but he was coming back from 1.5 miles to a mile. He was being freshened up. We had the vets look at him nearly every day during the week. His feet were a problem at the time, and it would have been just unfair to the AJC, to the connections of the horse, to have made some sort of put some sort of restriction on him and kept him out of the Doncaster. Fortunately, things went right.
Has the button. Off and running in the Doncaster of 91, Prince Triali of Bold Rancher and Superimpose are all slow to move at the start, and he's going to fire out on St Jude from the outside barrier.
And I'd seen the horse previously race at Randwick over the mile. I knew what he was capable of, and I just bided my time and pulled him out wide and let him storm home down the outside, and he seemed to really appreciate racing that way at Randwick in those mile races. He's a type of horse that he's got a great temperament. He relaxes so well in a race and doesn't use any petrol, and when you click him up and ask him to go, he certainly finds something for you, and it's just like driving a luxury car. He just keeps finding gears.
And with the inside running, Domino just led Spot the Rock and Quicksilver Cindy on the outside. A length away, St Jude on the fence, followed by Sir Patrick and then Greenback. Further back in the field as they come up to the turn, Liverstone Lane, Dark Bow is out 3 deep, and then Shaftesbury Avenue, Poster Leg, Ricochet, Rosie, Stylish Century from the Planet. Further back is Royal Creation, followed by Mocker, and Comrade is wide on the turn. Into the straight towards the 400, Spot the Rock and Quicksilver Cindy are the 2 leaders coming over the rise. St Jude pulled out is going up to them quickly. Century. His poster leg putting in a run further out from the Planet, followed by Ricochet Rosie. Superimpose right down the outside. Here comes the top weight at the 200. St Jude. Livingstone Lane burst through on the rail. Superimpose down the outside. Livingstone Lane in front, but go Super. Superimpose is mowing down Livingstone Lane. Superimpose has done it again. He's done it again. Superimpose beat Livingstone Lane. Third either Royal Creation or Shaftesbury Avenue.
3 down, 1 to go. Super had his back-to-back Doncasters, and he returned in the spring of '91 in pursuit of back-to-back Epsoms. Back to climb a mountain no horse before had dared to explore. He was 7 now, or aged, as they write in the race book. He had to carry 61 kilograms, the grandstand. Some things hadn't changed, though. Super was still winning the Warwick Stakes first up and then getting beaten at odds on. Now the AJC couldn't run a big mile at Randwick without him and his sidekick, Scotty McGee.
He'd been looking after the horse for about 3 years, up until the end, and I think he got as close as a strapper can get to a horse. He sort of almost knew how he was thinking, and certainly knew how the horse was feeling all the time. And it was a terrific thing, and you know, I think someone other than Scott may not have had the same bond with the horse, but he did communicate with the horse very well, and I think that was a lot of the reason why Super performed so well, because he was very happy and contented with who was looking after him.
Gates open, off in the Northwest Airlines, Epsom, Stargazer, Somalia and Mobile Peter, all a little slow to move at the start. Majestic Boy flew out of the gates, hit the ground in front of Bassie's Pride, Don't Play, wide out. Livingstone Lane began quickly and so did Flying Luskin, and right up there with them Stylish Century and Planet Ruler. Quick Scores in the leading bunch when they settle down, followed by Steineck, who's now losing ground, and then Rechabite, Twiglet, Bold Rancher, back past midfield as Brunch Time, followed by Deposition, Our Dawn Star, Somalia racing fiercely in the early part. A long way back, Mobile Peter, followed by Royal Creation, and Superimpose, as he was last year, is Stone Motherless last around that first corner. A great charge for the lead now. It's Planet Ruler between horses going to a narrow lead over Don't Play and Livingstone Lane. Somalia's run off the track. He's gone right out off the course towards the 800 mark. Now Stylish Sensory is in 4th spot. Quick Score beautifully placed. Then Flying Luskin, our Deep Stargazer, Rechabite between runners, followed by Majestic Boy, followed by Twiglet. Further back, Steineck, Brunch Time, Bassie's Pride, Somalia's rider trying to get him back on the track, and then Mobile Peter. Bold Rancher cluttered up on the fence from Royal Creation, Deposition, and Superimpose has about 2 behind him as they turn for home, and he's got nowhere to go coming over the rise. Planet Ruler joined on the inside by Livingstone Lane. Livingstone Lane takes the lead coming to the 200 mark. Quick Score into the clear, running on strongly. Twiglet down the outside, running a big race at big odds, and Bold Rancher's into the clear now. Livingstone Lane is the leader. Down the outside is Twiglet. Look at Superimpose. He's come through between horses. He's going to do it. It's history at Randwick. Superimpose has come from last, and he wins his 2nd Epsom. An amazing performance and a great ride by Friedman. Superimpose has beaten Livingstone Lane, Bold Rancher and Deposition in a photo for 3rd, and then Stylish Sensory. Listen to the crowd at Randwick.
It was sheer magic to stand up there in that broadcasting box and look down at the wild acclaim with which the crowd greeted Superimpose as he came back to scale that day. You'll remember, as I do, a jubilant jockey, Darren Friedman, bending down and actually kissing the horse on the neck as he came back through the gate.
I've always had one regret because I never came up for it. I was in Melbourne, and you know, I couldn't decide whether to come or not, and I thought if I came I'd jinx him, and so I stayed down there and watched it at Flemington, and biggest memory I have is probably the roar he got at Flemington was probably as big as it was here.
The WS Cox Plate, run here at Moonee Valley, is the Weight for Age Championship of Australasia. It belongs to horses like Tulloch and Kingston Town, to the legends. If horse racing was built on fairy talk alone, on dreams and the want of crowds, this would have been Super's day. But at the racetrack, there is no script.
Superimpose is 15 lengths off the lead with Dr. Grace. Further back, Surface Paradise and 2 to Lord Revener. They race to the 700-metre mark. Stylish Century in front. The challengers are coming now. Shaftesbury Avenue, Rough Habit coming with a sweeping run around the outside. Then Citizen Stargazer. Superimpose 4 or 5 lengths off them from Kinjate. Rough Habits burst to the front now on the outside with Citizen the Danger, and Superimpose is coming into the race now. Shaftesbury Avenue is behind them, struggling and ready to explode, getting out with Surface Paradise. Citizen has raced up, but here comes Superimpose down the outside of the 200-metre mark and further out Surface Paradise. Superimpose, Surface Paradise going home better. Surface Paradise is going to win the Cox Plate. Surface Paradise has won it. He's won 3/4 in a run home to Superimpose. I think Citizen ran third from Prince Salieri.
It was definitely disappointing because we thought he could win that year, and when he hit the front, I could see that Surface Paradise was going to beat him at least a furlong out, because as I remember it, coming into the corner, Lance O'Sullivan attempted to run on the inside and got pushed back out. And had he got into that run, I think we would have won the race. But anyway, as he came back out, he ended up straight on our heels and followed us. And they were too strong on the day. And it was a funny feeling. I was disappointed I won, but I was very happy they won, because they've been to the race 3 times and run second. And you know, we've always had a very friendly relationship with the O'Sullivan. So it was nice in that respect. But I mean, they got all the money and the Cox Plate.
Super ran second to Let's Elope in the McKinnon Stakes the following Saturday, and lumping 60 kilograms gave the mighty mare 9 kilograms 3 days later in the Melbourne Cup.
Then further back was Alpha Bell, followed by Pontiac Lass, Nay Rizzy, Just at Answer second last. And Citizen is last of all in the Melbourne Cup with 700 to go. Nearing the home turn, they race in the Melbourne Cup. And over on the inside now, Ivory Way has got a glorious run up on the inside to hit the front from Rashid when they turn for home. El Maheb further out, and here's the mighty mare now. Let's Elope sweeping on them on the outside, and Superimpose from the pack with a great run. At the 300-metre mark, Let's Elope has raced up now to Ivory Way. And Al Maheb, then Magnolia Hall, Superimpose, but the favourite has raced away in the Melbourne Cup. It's Let's Elope. This great mare has raced away from Ivory Way, Superimpose, and then Magnolia Hall, and Shiva's Revenge, but Let's Elope has won the Melbourne Cup. Let's Elope by 2 lengths. Maybe Shiva's Revenge second, just in front of Magnolia Hall and Superimpose. A gap in the field to
I think from that point on, we sort of decided between ourselves and the owners that anything else that happened with the horse had to be considered as a major bonus, because he was getting on in years and the little niggling injuries were just getting harder for him to get over.
But no, he soldiered on to the Sydney Autumn, winning the Chipping Norton and placing 6th in the Doncaster with 62.5 kilograms.
Chief Superimposes taking off around the outside. He's going to get him out into the open today, and back at the tail, Surface Paradise as they turn the corner. Superimposes absolute last coming over the rise. Western Chorus and Soho Square joining in now down the outside as Black Sun. Mannerism is there running a big race, followed by Quick Score, Prince Salieri at the 200 mark. Soho Square at any old price, kick clear. They are coming from all directions. His Old Roll coming out of the pack. Old Roll and Colonial Spirit are lunging at Soho Square, but Soho Square won the Doncaster.
Perhaps he should have finished closer had the instructions not been for Friedman to go around them. But more likely he was slipping on the downhill slide. The spring produced much of the same. Super placed in the Warwick Stakes, the Chelmsford and Hill Stakes, before running a creditable 4th in the Epsom. Creditable had never come into it before. There's an emptiness about these ones for the road, the glory seemingly gone forever. For old time's sake, they took him to Canberra, where the Friedmans had trained their first winner back in 1979. The way they take old pugs back to the stadium to say goodbye.
It was a very good day. I hadn't been back to the races at Canberra since I'd left the area, and you know, I always wanted to go back with a horse, you know, either capable of winning either the Black Opal or the Canberra Cup, and you know, he fitted the bill. And no, it was a great day, and I think a lot of the people who were on the committee when my father was alive and that got a lot of pleasure out of seeing the horse win too.
With about 700 to go, Sergeant Sam a long neck in front of Beachside. All Lone Star runs on the outside, followed then by Superimpose. My Arctic Blue goes around the outside, further back in the field, Stevac. Then Balance of Power, followed by Flagstaff, Galilee, and Hot Fishes last of all. But around the bend, 4.25 to go, and Beachside has raced to the lead now. Beachside leads All Lone Star. Superimpose moves up on the outside quickly now, and further back to Flagstaff, followed further back then Balance of Power. But Superimpose has shot away from them now. Superimpose kicked well clear. Beachside is second, followed by Flagstaff down the outside, and the next one, Balance of Power. But the champion, Superimpose, is racing away. Look at Superimpose, ease down on the line, and Superimpose wins the Cup. Galilee second, close for third. Ladies and gentlemen, we've witnessed a magnificent win here this afternoon by this great champion, Superimpose. And on behalf of the club, would like to thank the connections and the trainer for giving us the chance to see this great horse win the 1992. Ladies and gentlemen, Superimpose, Mick Dittman. And what a great thrill for the Canberra racegoers and for all those visitors here at the track this afternoon to see this magnificent galloper who's now in the twilight of his career.
So it was a fitting finish to a glorious career. Fitting? Finish? Get out of here.
Stand to attention for the plate. They're off. And Superimpose missed it about a length and a half, and away brilliantly here, Kinjate flying from the outside with Coronation Day. Slight chance going up in the centre, Naturalism behind him with Palace Rain, and here's the filly burst down the outside. She's going forward down to the winning post the first time. Muirfield Village out wide, Let's Elope back in the centre as they steady with 1700 to go, and Kinjate led out from burst second. Coronation Day third inside, Slight Chance fourth, the length, Naturalism fifth on the inside. Outside at Palace Rain, Muirfield Village out four wide around Citizen. Let's Elope had to check there over on the inside, Mannerism from Prince Salieri. Then came Superimpose, two to better loosen up, and Rough Habit last of all. 1400 to go on the plate, and Slight Chance took up the running. Slight Chance the leader now from Kinjate, who comes off the fence. They're followed by Burst and Coronation Day, the rail. Then Palace Rain fifth, Naturalism running sixth on the inside. Muirfield Village out three deep around Citizen. They're followed by Mannerism further back, then Let's Elope out three deep around the outside of Prince Salieri. Two to Superimpose, third last, second last, and the Cox Plate at the 1,000-metre mark now is better loosen up. And Rough Habit, the Kiwi, last of all. Kinjate goes up to Slight Chance at the 900-metre mark, a length and a half burst. Coronation Day getting a nice run, a half away, fourth on the rail. Then Palace Rain, Muirfield Village. Naturalism is locked away on the inside now as they start to make their run. The mare pulls to the outside, Let's Elope around Citizen. Mannerism went back to the fence. Old Superimpose peeling to the outside with better loosen up. There's a fall. There's a fall in the Cox Plate. And Naturalism's lost the rider. Citizen is out of the race, and so is Palace Rain. Rough Habit has been knocked out of it now. And as the race to the 500-metre mark now, and the leader here is Kinjate. Here comes Let's Elope. Let's Elope with a mighty run out wide, going up quickly now. Kinjate in the middle from Muirfield Village, followed by Superimpose. Let's Elope out wide as race to Kinjate. Slight Chance fights back down the outside, Superimpose. Let's Elope in the middle, Prince Salieri getting a run, better loosen up, and Superimpose. Let's Elope in front, Superimpose driving. Super! I think Super and nose to Let's Elope on the Cox Plate. Third maybe Kinjate, the rail, better loosen up behind them. They're followed by Slight Chance, Mannerism there.
It's my only ride on this horse, and I was only saying last night that win, lose or draw, I mean, what a great thing to be able to tell your children that when you retire that you rode a horse called Superimpose, which you'll, even the day after he dies, you'll never be forgotten, this horse. And just to have a ride on this great horse that he is, and to win the Cox Plate, well, let's just put the sealer on it. And I'd also like to thank the 30,000 lovely people that are here today. You've seen a great race run, and you've seen a great race won, and it was won by the great champion Superimpose. Thank you.
I think it was a fitting farewell to the horse in Melbourne because he really hadn't attracted that sort of adulation in Melbourne as he had in Sydney, and it was sort of like right at the end of his career they realised that he had been a great horse, and it was a very touching moment, really.
And it certainly capped his career, and you know, I think it was probably fitting that, you know, hopefully we'll win more Cox Plates, but our first was with him, and that's something we'll always treasure.
Super had just one more start, coming out 10 days later for the Melbourne Cup. He brought with him the rain, the fans and their banners. And he brought his owners and the Friedmans and Scotty McGee. Super finished closer to the back of the field than to young stablemate Sub-Zero up the front. He was 8 years old when he retired, winner of an Australasian record $5.6 million in stakes. The greatest Randwick miler of all time. And let's make that point one last time. Superimpose retired. He never quit.
If you were to ask me now to name my magic moments in racing, those 4 big Randwick wins by Superimpose would feature very prominently, and those memories will become nearer and dearer to me as the years go by.
There's only one way to remember Superimpose, and that's as a champion.
I still think about him. I probably always will, you know, because without him, none of this would be possible.
Yeah, I think about him quite a lot. You know, I had a lot of good times with him. He's a great horse to look after.
He was an old toff. He was a strange old toff, but he was an old toff, and you know, it was remarkable to watch his career unfold from such humble beginnings and win so many big races. And there won't be too many horses come through the stable who will do that. There'll be plenty of horses with as much ability, I hope, maybe some with more. But very few can do what he did over such a long period of time, and you know, it will always be a very fond memory of him. I won't be alive to see the next horse win 4 Randwick miles, and I don't think anyone will live to see one win 4 Randwick miles starting with 57 in the weights. So he'll have that record on his own, and I don't think there'll be too many 8-year-olds win Cox Plates either, so if that's the definition of a champion, then he's a champion.
Wins it a half leg to Sinister the neck away.
Sedestin and Better Loosen Up have come away. They're fighting it out. Better Loosen Up on the extreme outside is drawing clear, and Better Loosen Up wins the Sagan home.
Better Loosen Up in the middle, Spoody's in front. Better Loosen Up has won for Australia. Better Loosen Up has won the Japan Cup from either road or Kakarithis. We've done it. We've taken the Japan Cup with Better Loosen Up.
It was the prize fighter within this plain brown gelding that made him a knockout. From racing's prelims to its main events, Better Loosen Up. The unfashionable slugger kept pounding away at the heavyweights until they could give no more. His style was to reach out and score in those final championship bounds. But on this autumn day in 1991, he packed a lifetime of hard-fought, nail-biting triumphs into an uncharacteristic show of contempt. He'd already won his world title, and this, supposedly, was the beginning of life on Easy Street.
Will come to the turn, leads only a length. Better Loosen Up, coasting at the 600. 2 lengths then Prince Salieri poised for his run. Barlandy dropping out, then Citizen just at answer last as they wheel for home. And it's Vogue first into the straight. Better Loosen Up poised for his run at the 500 metre mark. Clark had a look around. 2 lengths Prince Salieri third, then Citizen below the 400. Vogue in front, 3/4. Better Loosen Up cantering on the outside. Then Prince Salieri, but Better Loosen Up gave Vogue the go by. The champion strode away, 3 lengths in front, passing the 200 from Vogue and Prince Salieri. This is a champion. Better Loosen Up going 5 lengths in front of Vogue and Prince Salieri. Better Loosen Up, hail the new champ, 6 lengths. Vogue.
Better Loosen Up, in his own way, told Australians two things in this Australian Cup. One, he truly was the best, the champ. And two, when the only opponent left standing is Daylight, the fighting's just about done. Howard and Jan Martin breed their horses here in the New South Wales Riverina district of Berrigan, just north of the Victorian border. 1,100 people tend their crops, their animals and their business on these fertile plains, once famous for bushrangers, and today as the birthplace of Better Loosen Up. That's his dam, Better Fantasy, the last filly foal born to that splendid stallion, Better Boy. Better Fantasy won just 3 modest races in these parts, but inside her lurked the genetic magic that inspires this horse racing game to roll on from dawn to eternity.
As a result of having Better Fantasy in our breeding group of mares, we sent her to Loosen Up and bred Better Loosen Up. We didn't intend to breed a colt. It was our intention to get a filly because we were aiming to see if we could get a replica to Sauna, who was a famous mare in Australia, and she went to America and she was quite successful in America.
My association started with Better Loosen Up when I was working for my father-in-law, Bert Honeychurch. He trained the mother, and I really got it when I started training. I got into the bloodline of that mare. First horse was a horse called Galway Dream that I had, which was Better Loosen Up's older half-brother. And he was quite a handy 2-year-old. And I just more or less went out to the paddock to follow on from the same family as him. And I liked the colt. He was a little bit small, and I bought him in the paddock. I bought him with a mate of mine originally, Dennis Phillips. We paid $10,000 for him in the paddock, and then at a later date at a barbecue, we let the Martins a quarter share and my cousin a quarter share. So that's how the original syndicate was formed. At his first start at Bendigo, he was shin sore, and then we brought him back, and I'd set him first up for the day he won, but he started to go a touch shin sore again. And he'd had a bit of a cold, and at that stage Gabe had bought into him. Because I moved to Bendigo, the Martins wanted their horses to be still trained in the Riverina, so they sold out to Gabe. I rang Gabe and recommended, I said the horse had a fair amount of ability, and Gabe bought into the horse, bought their share.
Stalls are back and they're off and racing here. Walani on the outside jumped away well. Better Loosen Up has jumped with them, with also Pugs Dancer and Multiculture. Timpani showing good speed down near the rail, and
we sort of set the the horse up quietly without sort of giving him trolls and whatever, and for that plunge for that day here. And Liz, was very confident on the day that the horse could win, and Gabe Farrell was very lucky to buy into the horse. I feel the day before he's made quite a lot of money since.
600 to go. Walani nearing the turn, about a neck in front of Timpani's on its inside. Better Loosen Up a length away, third the outside, 3 then to Emerald Haggett. Then Pugs Dancer and Tricked It. In the straight they race, 400 to go. And Better Loosen Up on the outside moved up with Walani. Timpani's battling on the inside, but Better Loosen Up got its head in front of Timpani's. Walani starting to struggle there, well clear of the others. Better Loosen Up, he's pulled the whip. Timpani's back on the insides, on turns with him with 100 to go. Timpani's the inside and Better Loosen Up stride for stride. It's Timpani's just in front. Better Loosen Up ducked in, comes at him though. Better Loosen Up put his head in front, and Better Loosen Up gets the money. Scores by nearly a length to Timpani's, 5 away third Walani. Number 6 the winner here, number 6 Better Loosen Up, ridden by Ron Burgess, trained on the track by Les Theodore. As by Loosen Up from Better Fantasy, raced by D. Phillips, Mrs. G. Theodore, Mr. and Mrs. D. Trevathan and Mr. and Mrs. H. Martin.
They backed him fairly heavily that day, and which through a misunderstanding, my cousin rang me from Sydney, and I told him to have something each way on it, which he did. But when he read the papers that there was a plunge board off, he got the wrong idea that he'd been left out, which wasn't true, so he decided that to sell out of the horse, and he advertised his share for sale.
Well, someone backed him. He came in from about 7s to 5 to 2 odd, and he collected the money, and we virtually covered our expenses that day, so he was quite good to us then and still has been right through.
Better Loosen Up followed the path of Campaign King, another illustrious Les Theodore find, to the Randwick stables of Bart Cummings. He won 3 races straight before confirming that hint of class here in the Canterbury Guineas.
Into the straight out, Crona tackled by Better Loosen Up, and they're well clear of Marimbula Bay. His Riverina Charm starting to hit top gear. She's coming out after them now, and further out Shallier. Better Loosen Up the leader. Riverina Charm is picking him up quickly. Riverina Charm is coming at the leader. Better Loosen Up. Riverina Charm hit the leader. Treble for Nebo Lodge, and a great ride by Quinton. Riverina Charm beat Better Loosen Up with Shallier third.
After his last run for Bart was turning him out for a spell, and Les decided he'd like the horse back in Adelaide. So Les arranged for the horse to be floated back for him to train. And when the horse came back to Adelaide, Les prepared him for a 1,000-metre race there, and the horse didn't run well, and there was a problem with him, so Les turned him out for a long spell.
He'd had a hairline fracture of the pelvis. So that's, you know, and he'd had it for quite a long time. And then he had a veterinary examination and was given the all clear, and then we took him up to Lindsay Park, and their vets went over him. I'm quite satisfied that the horse was sound. When I dropped him up at Lindsay Park, one of the managers came out with me, and I said to him, you want to look after this horse? I said, he's a champion. And he laughed at me at that stage, but I suppose now he'd have to agree.
He was a horse that was very relaxed and lazy on the track, and his first run he ran second in the 1400 at Caulfield, and we had the stablemate Heavenly View beat him that day, and my brother rode him that time, and he felt that he was probably a shade unlucky not to have won the race, and that was the first signs of we had of the horse in his first run for us. And he was a horse that was hard to gauge because he was very lazy and relaxed on the track, and he put his best foot forward on the race day.
And then south of Belmont, followed by Better Loosen Up, and the last of all the Bois tailed off when they sweep to the turn. 400 left to go. Light Show, Heavenly View about to come to the bend together with Redelver and Jetfighter challenging. Acid Print, Don't Play, waiting for the runs, and further back in the field, Escape King. Heavenly View took the lead at the 200 from Light Show. Here's Acid Print getting a run through now, followed by Redelver and Better Loosen Up diving through to the inside. Heavenly View's in front though, kicked away from Acid Print. Better Loosen Up finishing well, but Heavenly View's in front as they hit it, and Heavenly View won it by a neck. Better Loosen Up.
The line Michael Clark was looking for was this: better was only going to get better, and better, and better again. He got better in the Group 1 Honda Stakes at Flemington on the last day of the Spring Carnival.
500 left to go, and Fendleton the leader, urged forward in front of our Crona. The margin, Harper Link straightening up now. 1.5 to Boardwalk Angel. Bronze Knight Glenview called on for her run. Next Royal Creation, who's under the whip along the rails, and further back is Better Loosen Up. Our Crona at the 300 got level with Fendleton, put its nose in front. Boardwalk Angel a length and a half back. Glenview Royal Creation trying to reach the leaders. Better Loosen Up with a late run, but it's our Crona in front. 100 out. Here's Better Loosen Up, and Swift's in from last. Our Crona in front. Better Loosen Up nearly level as they go to the line. A bobbing finish. Better Loosen Up, I think, may have one of the nose. Our Crona.
He then went to Perth and got better again in the Group 1 Winfield.
Was last at the 450. Hard Act is the leader. On the outside, Jules Brutus looming up. On the inside was Timeless Action. Here's Better Loosen Up joining in quickly, followed by Truth, K-Sard and Spirit of Air. Into the straight, 250 to go. Hard Act the leader. Here comes Better Loosen Up after him on the outside. Hard Act led. Better Loosen Up has levelled up. They're followed now by on the outside K-Sard and Timeless Action. Better Loosen Up has taken the lead, and Better Loosen Up has got it won. Better Loosen Up a length and a half.
And he got even better in the Group 1 Railway a month later.
There goes Better Loosen Up off 5 and 6 wide. He was followed by Proud Treaty, well back to Medicine Kid, My Bobby Boo and Ma Wong. Into the straight they race with 300 to go, and Carry a Smile raced up to Judo Dreamo, and here's Jules Brute down the outer, followed by Concord Flyer. Century got Better Loosen Up down the outside, 100 to go. Carry a Smile from Jules Brute. Here comes Better Loosen Up on the outside. Better Loosen Up went to Jules Brute. Ma Wong got an inside run, but Better Loosen Up has won ahead.
When he won the railway railway, it was just a sensational performance because he got interfered with badly about the 600 metre mark. A horse come out in front of him from the inside, and he copped severe interference, and it wasn't sort of didn't show up as much watching a TV film as what it did on the stewards film. Like, he struck severe interference about the 600 metre mark, and for him to overcome that and then go wide on the bend, and his performance there was outstanding, and that really showed the signs of him being a high quality horse.
After a short let-up, Better, quickly becoming the best, returned to Melbourne for the Blamey. Coming from behind to clobber another super horse.
Superimpose is coming after him on the outside as they run to the 250. Beau Rogue about to be tackled by Superimpose, who looks to be going the better. Superimpose has taken the lead with 100 metres left to go. Better Loosen Up is flying home down the outside, but Superimpose looks to have it won. Better Loosen Up is flying. Better Loosen Up coming up. Superimpose. Better Loosen Up in the last stride. Better Loosen Up has won in the last stride from Superimpose, and Beau Rogue third.
He's run that year in the Australian Cup. He was second up in it, and Beau Rogue at that stage was the best, and ours was making ground rapidly on him at the finish, and it was certainly no disgrace being beaten that day by Beau Rogue, but then from then on we were just almost invincible.
Better Loosen Up is starting to finish quickly on the outside. Beau Rogue in front by 3 at the 200. Better Loosen Up the danger. Superimpose coming quickly. Beau Rogue about 2 lengths in front of Better Loosen Up. Superimpose. Beau Rogue with 100 to go by a length. He's holding them at bay. The Rogue will win his second in a row. Beau Rogue wins at a length. Better Loosen Up. Superimpose is third, 3/4 of a length away. Then
back to Sydney, Better Loosen Up beat Siddiston and Super in the Sagenhoe on a dead track, before striking heavy tracks in the BMW and Queen Elizabeth Stakes.
Flat to the boards in front of the 200. Dr. Grace and Sedestin are challenging, and Better Loosen Up on the extreme outside. Sedestin and Better Loosen Up have come away. They're fighting it out. Better Loosen Up on the extreme outside is drawing clear, and Better Loosen Up wins the Sagenhoe. Sedestin.
Leading into the autumn of 1990, on August the 1st to be precise, Colin Hayes retired, handing over Lindsay Park and a training empire to son David. Down through the years, fathers have passed many things on to their sons: knowledge, character, heirlooms. Colin Hayes did all of this, and more. To David, he entrusted Better Loosen Up.
And here's Better Loosen Up, cutting loose and coming with a great run around them from you. Sour Sacrosanct and then Universal Ambition, and the Phantom held up on the inside. They're homeward bound, and now Westminster claims Stylish Century. Better Loosen Up pounding into the picture. Arc Regal off the rail but still held up, and then the Phantom running on halfway down the straight. Better Loosen Up challenges our Westminster and Stylish Century, with the Phantom driving through. Better Loosen Up and Stylish Century, and I think Better Loosen Up just won it from Stylish.
A man becomes a man, it's said, when a man is needed. And some horses swing to the same beat. Better Loosen Up with a new man. A freshman in his corner won his next 7 straight in one of the most devastating, most awesome displays in the history of the Australian turf. It began in the field, and it got bigger and better every stride of the way.
My father has, says Dulcify was the best 3-year-old he's had anything to do with, and probably he's seen. I think but Dad concedes, as a 4- and 5-year-old, this horse's record is as good, or if not on his day, superior.
Equidity next on the rails, followed by Better Loosen Up, and then a free. Chevelle Cavalier and Batuta had dropped out to be last of all as they sweep round the home turn on the Turnbull now. Balancing for home, and Savage Toss first into the straight. The run there for Sir Midas, if good enough. As Savage Toss left the fence, they were followed by Royal Creation coming through on the inside. Stargazer and Mr. Brooker. Here's Shazora staking her claim, and Better Loosen Up on the outside. But Royal Creation led at the 300. Here's Shazora coming out after Royal Creation, and Better Loosen Up is starting to hit top gear. Shazora got to Royal Creation with Better Loosen Up challenging on the outside. Better Loosen Up, Shazora, Royal Creation, 3 across the track. Better Loosen Up getting to Royal Creation. They go to the line, a bobbing finish. Better Loosen Up. Better Loosen Up has got up to beat Royal Creation in the last.
In life, there are strides and there are leads, just as there are horse races. And there's the WS Cox Plate. It has to do with the making of legends. Somehow, it reaches beyond sport.
When you come to a race like the Cox Plate, if it was only a two-horse race, you'd still feel exactly the same. It's such a big thing in a person's life to sort of have a Cox Plate runner, let alone a horse like him that had every chance of winning. So it really was one of the greatest days that we've ever experienced in racing.
So I hadn't won a Group 1 race at that stage, and had some luck in weight for age races, but you know, Group 1 for a young trainer meant a lot, and especially the Cox Plate. I don't normally get nervous, but I did before that race.
They're set. And they're racing now. Stylish Century away brilliantly nearer the inside, jumping out fast St Jude. Canny Lad began like a rocket and he's up on the outside, and further out Horlicks O'Sullivan starting to heel her up. Stylish Century's in front. Horlicks has gone up second and King's High in the middle third, followed by St Jude. Canny Lad at the winning post. Then Lord Revenor going out.
It's probably the greatest performance we've seen in modern history of the Cox Plate, because he stood the leader Stylish Century close to 25, 30 length start with about 1,200 metres to go. He had to run a track record to get up and win. And I think the field assembled that particular year was a vintage year, and the way he did it when he went past horses like Citizen and Canny Lad, Stylish Century, etc. It was just one of those great Cox Plate performances, but that was the horse, you know. It was just the best Cox Plate performance I think I've ever seen.
Off the lead. They're followed by Shazor Integra back in the middle, and last of all the Phantom. At the turn of the 850, and Stylish Century a mile in front. He led by 15 lengths to King's High second. A length into St Jude, followed by Horlicks. Canny Lad outside it. 3 further back Citizen. They're starting to get busy now, and further back in the field Lord Revenor. Better Loosen Up is 15 lengths off the lead, and under the whip followed by the Phantom, Integra and Shazora. Stylish Century coming back to them, 5 lengths in front now of St Jude. Canny Lad. A length into the Tasmanian Citizen under the whip. 2 further back, Horlicks making heavy weather of it. They're followed by Better Loosen Up and the Phantom that grabs Stylish Century, 400 to go. Canny Lad out wide, raced up now to grab the front, Citizen the challenger, and Better Loosen Up from a mile back. Canny Lad in front, but here's the Tasmanian champ now, Citizen on the outside. Citizen gets to Canny Lad, and here comes Better Loosen Up with a mighty run. Citizen and Better Loosen Up. Better Loosen Up on the outside, going home better. Better Loosen Up takes the Cox Plate, wins it a half length to Citizen a neck away. Third in the race is Canny Lad, then the Phantom out wide, further back Stylish Century.
I felt for the horse because I thought he'd had a very hard run, but he pulled up from that race probably better than any run that preparation. So he really was an iron horse as well as a great horse.
Side. It's Stylish Century lengthening the break about 2.5 lengths. Dual Treasures won't let him get away. They're about 4 or 5 lengths in front of Naboto and Mr. Brooker. Kept them on the rails, and then came Better Loosen Up. There's Terrific making an early run. He's gone round the outside of Better Loosen Up. Further back in the field, Royal Creation, and then Citizen, Just a Dancer and Solar Circle. On the turn, Stylish Century leads at the 500. He's about 2 lengths to Dual Treasures. Better Loosen Up is close enough now as he turns for home in third placing, followed by Mr. Brooker. Back behind those horses is Kesem, and they were trailed by Citizen, and then Just a Dancer. Stylish Century in front at the 300. 2 lengths to Better Loosen Up, given full bore, and then Dual Treasures, Mr. Brooker. Kesem on the outside at Stylish Century. Better Loosen Up a half length behind him. Clark has pulled the whip, and Better Loosen Up and Stylish Century fight it out nose and nose. Better Loosen Up goes home the better, and Better Loosen Up has beaten Stylish Century by a long neck. 2 lengths.
Since World War II, the Japanese have had to restructure and build many things. They never had races like our Melbourne Cup, the Cox Plate or Doncaster in the first place. No real turf history to speak of. But in just 10 years, they transferred this race, the Japan Cup, from dream to reality, from innovation to institution. Its massive prize money and status attracted English Derby winners, winners of the Arc, the Breeders' Cup, the finest blue bloods in the world. Better Loosen Up, more blue collar than blue blood, came here for the 10th running of the Japan Cup, along with Stylish Century representing Australia. He was to be number 10, starting from gate 10. But in the pre-race track work sessions, he didn't exactly get 10 out of 10.
It was Breakfast with the Stars, and they have about 15,000 there. And he ran the worst last 600 of the morning, and I was trying to explain to the Japanese that he always does that, but I think a lot of people didn't quite believe me because he's such a plain horse as well and working so badly. But on the final gallop, Michael rode him, and he only worked in hand, but he looked pretty right to us.
The day of the races, it was an exciting time. We're all so nervous for this horse and for Stylish Century. But he looked rather insignificant in the mounting yard, to say the least. You know, he was surrounded by these aristocrats, the best horses that could be assembled, particularly out of Europe and America. These 4-year-old horses and mares, the best of their time, parading around him, and there he was, race 10, horse number 10. And this plain little bay horse, this little bay gelding out of Australia with his blinkers on, honestly, he'd walk straight past him, but he was cool, he was calm, he was totally collected.
Too often in sport, there is talk of high drama. So let's get this race into perspective from the very beginning. It was run and won on an emotional cliff top.
Line is good. They're off. The breakaway wasn't a clean one. One of the first out here towards the centre is Asashi George. He landed in front, was Stylish Century away quickly. Kakawipi's behind them, and further out on the track here is Petit Deal as they go down to the winning post, and there's no pace. Stylish Century getting up on the inside now of Asashi George, and they're together from Petit Deal, Kakawipi's, and further back Whitestone has got to the rail. Better Loosen Up has got about 4 behind him going out of the straight. Stylish Century, and on the outside of him Asashi George. Asashi George taking over in the Japan Cup to lead by 2 lengths now to Stylish Century, and going up third and neck away on the outside is Petit Deal. A length to Kakawiki's running 4th, and they're followed by Belmez 5th and Whitestone on the rail. A half then to Ode, further back Yaina Matuki, and they're followed by Elwish, who's racing deep around Better Loosen Up. Over on the inside is Even Bay. They're followed further back in the field, down the back by Phantom Breeze, and then French Glory. Second last in the Japan Cup is George Monarch, and Aguri Cap is last of all. As the pace goes on now at the 1400 metre mark, and the leader is Asachi George, about a length in front. He's away from the fence, and Stylish Century has got up inside him. A length further back in the field, then Petit Deal third. A length and a half to Karkawisi's. 4 lengths further back, running 5th is Belmez, and they're followed by Whitestone. A length and a half then to Ode. They're followed by Yaina Matuki. Better Loosen Up is starting to make his run. They're followed further back in the field by Ibn Bay. Well back out of its ground, coming off the back now is French Glory. As they race now to the 900 metre mark, and the leader still is Asashi George, a length and a half to Stylish Century. They're followed by Petit Deal running third, a length and a half. Karkawithis has had a lovely run fourth. 2 lengths further back, Belmez starting to put in a claim. They're followed over on the inside by Whitestone when they come up to the bend. Further back then, pulled out wide on the track, making a run as Ode, and they're followed by Phantom Breeze. Well back was Better Loosen Up when they turned for home, but the leader away from the rail here was Asashi George at the straight from Stylish Century. Coming up the mount rider on the track is Petit Deal. Karkawithis in the middle gets a run, and Better Loosen Up is getting out with Belmez down the outside. Karkawithis has broken loose at the 200 metre mark, 2 lengths in front. Better Loosen Up going after him, but running in and further out of the track with a great run is Ode. Ode is after Karkawithis. Better Loosen Up in the middle is coming with a magnificent run. Karkawithis, Better Loosen Up and Ode. Better Loosen Up in the middle, Spritty's in front. Better Loosen Up has won for Australia. Better Loosen Up has won the Japan Cup from either Ode or Karkawithis. We've done it. We've taken the Japan Cup with Better Loosen Up.
Oh, sensational. I lost my voice, but you know, I kept having to pinch myself, and I wouldn't know what it's like to win the Olympics, but I think that in horse racing that'd be the closest thing to winning a gold medal in the Olympics.
I still remember in the last 20 or 30 metres that horse sort of plateauing his head out virtually parallel to the running rail to gain a half-head decision. It was just a mighty moment in racing, the greatest moment I've ever experienced, and probably in sport.
The Japan Cup was the 7th Group 1 win for Better Loosen Up's trophy pole, all achieved in a period of 13 months. His 31st career start and his 15th win, which, along with 8 minor placings, boosted the gelding's earnings beyond $4 million. It was, quite simply, Australia's greatest achievement in international racing. The plain brown with the elongated ears, the kind our grandfathers took at roving, had become a champion of the world, a knockout.
The person in quarantine that was looking after him in Australia said that he's the only horse he's known to really put weight on in quarantine, and the quarantine station, they did a terrific job, but it's not exactly horses heaven in there, and he thrived, and going into the Blamey, I would say definitely improved.
Set and away. Rogue, one of the best to bounce out. Better Loosen Up immediately snagged to the rear, and Rogue found the front running, got a length in front of Arc Regal. Kingston Rule settles down a length and a quarter away third, and then 2 lengths Better Loosen Up outside Coal Diesel. 1,300 to go, and Rogue goes out by about 4 lengths at this stage. Arc Regal is second, and 2.5 lengths Kingston Rule. 2 lengths then 2 Better Loosen Up, and last Coal Diesel. Rogue had gone further clear at the 1,100 now, and he's opened up a break of about 6 lengths, I'd say, over Arc Regal. About 2.5 or 3 then to Kingston Rule. 2 lengths 10 to Better Loosen Up, and Coal Diesel 4 lengths behind him. 900 left to go, and Rogue has lengthened the break. He's probably 8 lengths down to Arc Regal. Rogue in front of Arc Regal, and 4 lengths Kingston Rule. 2 lengths then to Better Loosen Up. Would have to be at least 12 lengths from the leader. Rogue coming near to the turn. Coal Diesel getting further behind them. At the 600, and it's Rogue doing everything right at the 600 metre mark. He'll turn for home about 5 lengths in front. Arc Regal is second, 2 lengths Kingston Rule. Better Loosen Up easing to the outside, and then Coal Diesel. Cyril Small asked for something from the Rogue as they balance fully now. Had a look around, and he was 5 lengths in front of Arc Regal. Clark winding up. Better Loosen Up now runs to second. At the 300 now, and Small's gone for the whip. It's Rogue about 6 lengths in front of Better Loosen Up, giving chase, and then Kingston Rule. 200 left to go. Rogue's 3. Better Loosen Up is trying very hard, and he's inch by inch coming at Rogue. Rogue by 3/4 with 100 to go. Better Loosen Up's level. Better Loosen Up takes the lead and wins it by a neck to Rogue. What a race.
What a horse. Nothing could beat him now.
Clark had a look around. 2 lengths Prince Salieri third, then Citizen below the 400. Rogue in front, 3/4. Better Loosen Up cantering on the outside. Then Prince Salieri, but Better Loosen Up gave Rogue the go by. The champion straight away. 3 lengths in front, passing the 200 from Rogue and Prince Salieri. This is a champion. Better Loosen Up going 5 lengths in front of Rogue and Prince Salieri. Better Loosen Up, hail the new champ. 6 lengths.
The new champion is now bound for Sydney, the BMW, and a much-awaited confrontation with Superimpose. But in the countdown to the big race, well, David Hayes was there. Best he tells the story.
He worked in his usual lazy fashion, and Michael said that he did work well, and you know his action was great. But on pulling up over one of the Randwick crossings, he dipped quite severely. And then from that dip, Michael said he pulled up too quickly. You know, he stopped very quickly. He came in, by the time Michael had walked the horse back, he was noticeably lame, which is always a worry, because generally a injury, they cool down and they're lame. But this was, he had instant lameness. But I think what had happened, it was he just stumbled and bowed that tendon, and I was, you know, most concerned, and as you can imagine, when Better Loosen Up was working in Sydney, there was a lot of press, so we rushed him off in the dark very quickly and got him home, and trying to not make too much of a scene, but by the time I'd got in from the centre, it was quite obvious he'd bowed his tendon, and the scan confirmed that, and it was probably the worst day in my short training career's life anyway.
Had it been any other horse, Connections might have retired him then and there. But Better Loosen Up wasn't just any horse. For 90 minutes on August the 30th, 1991, 2 vets at Lindsay Park did their part in his comeback attempt, performing a superior check ligament desmotomy. The check ligaments on both forelegs were cut to allow the gelding's weight to be eased off the tendons and transferred to his stomach muscles. But science can never understand genius. He returned in the Chester Manifold at Flemington, finishing third. Behind triumph, but in front of failure. In the Blamey, though, a fortnight later, he ran 5th of 5. Better Loosen Up failed that day about as badly as a champion can. Short of injuring himself, wrote Les Carlyon, for reasons that were entirely honourable, the champion horse had become a careful horse. Under controversial circumstances involving treatment for a back complaint, he was withdrawn from the Australian Cup a few weeks later. He then went to Sydney, running 4th in the George Ryder, before returning to Lindsay Park. Now a 7-year-old, and after 3 comeback runs without success, he came back to Melbourne for the hell of it.
He didn't come back the horse that he was. It's just too hard after a tendon injury to come back. He came back, but when you'd watch him, he'd be still running on courage, and most of the time, in the short time that we saw him when he did come back, he was running on total heart. That's what was getting him so close. It was all just on heart.
Better Loosen Up went to Japan and beat the best in the world. They go to the 750-metre mark and the sprint is on now. And it's Better Loosen Up about a half in front. The mare on the outside, back second. Let's Alade Dittman about to call on, and now she's getting closer to Better Loosen Up. It's a battle coming up at the 600-metre mark. She's gone up to Better Loosen Up and she's put her head in front. And they're both, it's a real war before the turn, 500 to go. Let's Alade on the outside, getting a half length in front. He gives her a crack with a whip. Clark calling on the old warrior back on the inside. Better Loosen Up down to the 300-metre mark. Let's Alabe's drawn a half length in front. Better Loosen Up is trying to come back on the inside. Let's Alabe's a neck in front at the 150-metre mark. Better Loosen Up trying with every stride, but the mare's got the edge near the line. Dittman throws everything at her, and Let's Alabe wins the challenge a length and a half to Better Loosen Up. A marvellous performance by 2 great horses here in the TAB Super Challenge.
10 days later, he was back at Moonee Valley for the big one, the Cox Plate, an attempt to reclaim his title as the heavyweight champion.
I got the chance to sit on him, you know, and that was a honour in its right. He's that stage, you know, he'd been a legend, and what he'd done was phenomenal. It was a good feeling for me because I was going to be able to sit on his back and give him a pat in such a major race, and just to, you know, sit on the horse's back and say hello to the old boy because of what he'd done. He's such a legend.
And as the race to the 500-metre mark now, and the leader here is King Jatay. Here comes Let's Elope. Let's Elope with a mighty run out wide, going up quickly now. King Jatay in the middle from Muirfield Village, followed by Superimpose. Let's Elope out wide as race to King Jatay. Slight chance fights back down the outside, Superimpose. Let's Elope in the middle, Prince Salieri getting a run. Better Loosen Up and Superimpose. Let's Elope in front, Superimpose driving. Super! I think Super and O's to Let's Elope on the Cox Plate. Third maybe King Jatay, the rail. Better Loosen Up behind them.
Pulling up, how do you think I felt? It's one stage in my life I never wanted to come back to scale, knowing that you know, Better Loosen Up should have won with me on him. I got a squeeze on the point of the bend. I straightened up, got over that. I was good as gold. Working home terrific. I was able to give him one with the left hand just before I copped that bump from the horse coming out. That set him alight. From then on I thought, well, here we go. I had a look up ahead of me. I had a good 2.5 to 3 horses room, maybe even 4, to go inside Let's Elope. Let's Elope's then come in, shifted in rather quick, you know, very quick. I wasn't quite able to get up inside her, and she just chopped me out, and to tell you the truth, I thought we were going to fall.
Oh, his effort in the Cox Plate was superb. He went on a very light and frustrating preparation into the race because we all know that he was a duffer on the wet tracks, and it was that famous spring where we only got one dry track, and that happened to be at Moonee Valley over 2,000. In that particular race, we all know there was a fall in the race, and a masterly ride by Greg Hall on Super held him in at the vital stage, and then of course Let's Elope knocked him down the last 50 metres. So it was probably, for me, my biggest disappointment and frustrating run ever. I was shattered after the race because I believe in my heart he should have won.
Better Loosen Up had 4 more bouts. His last here at Morphettville.
Ready now and racing in the Irwin. Looked a tidy dispatch. Fabiano's girl jumped well. So did Loving Cup and Spondula. So they've headed out now about a length and a half. Redelva followed by Valkenite and Colebrook and then Kicks. Another length and a half. Cattle Baron. Better Loosen Up third last from Transplant Lad. And about 5 away last Hot Arch. Inside the 800 metres they've carved the turf. Spondula the inside. Fabiano's girl 3 deep and in between them. But now getting back a little Loving Cup. There's Redelva, the big chestnut, coming at them on the inside. And Valkenite is 3 deep. Then Colebrook Kicks, followed by Cattle Baron as they turn. Next was Better Loosen Up around Transplant Lad and 5 to Hot Arch. On the swing, 400 out. Spondula from Fabiano's girl. Wilson has eased Redelva off their heels, moves up 3 deep. Valkenite was next. Down the outside, Colebrook is running a bit of a race and then Kicks. It's Fabiano's girl at the 200. She's holding this big, powerful chestnut, Redelva. Colebrook is now coming out very wide on the track. And look at Better Loosen Up, rocket home. And Hot Arch is coming with him. Better Loosen Up and Hot Arch, they go to the line. Hot Arch has won. Better Loosen Up has run one of the best races of his career. He's either second. Oh, I'd love to be able to see David Hayes' face at the moment. This bloke has very nearly won the race.
His run was sensational that day. He was beaten narrowly in an 1100 metre, and even at his best I don't think I could have expected him to run much better. He was back, had his foot right back on the till and ready to win, and in his final gallop for the Blamey, which by chance wasn't a strong Blamey, and we're all primed up for him to have his first win back in his comeback. He worked up with a horse called Farrar, who since has been very competitive in the Australian Cup and the Chester Manifold, and was toying with the horse, just dipped in his gallop and he went. And it was just a tragedy, but the horse, he's fine now, but we've decided to retire the horse because we just don't want to put him at risk.
Citizen gets to Kenny Lad, and here comes Better Loosen Up with a mighty run. Citizen and Better Loosen Up on the outside, going home. Better Loosen Up takes the Cox Plate, wins it a half.
He's such a professional thoroughbred too. When he'd get up alongside them, he was inclined to even give them a bit of a brush on the inside. It was more just to say, well, are you aware that I'm here? And he was there, and he was going to the post.
I've devoted my club room to only Group 1 winners, and at this stage he fills most of the club room, so I won't forget him for a long time.
At the 200 metre mark, 2 lengths in front. Better Loosen Up going after him, but running in and further out on the track with a great run is Ode. Ode is after Karkawithi's Better Loosen Up, and the middle is coming with a magnificent run. Karkawithi's Better Loosen Up and Ode. Better Loosen Up in the middle's put his head in front. Better Loosen Up has won for Australia. Better Loosen Up has won the Japan Cup from either Ode or Karkawithi's. We've done it. We've taken the Japan Cup with Better Loosen Up.
I don't think there's any doubt that the Australian public are going to remember Better Loosen Up for the Japan Cup. They'll remember him winning the great race, the Cox Plate, but I think that is probably just slightly overshadowed by his performance in Tokyo. And as I say, he will be the benchmark of what other horses can do overseas. And I think he's done so much for Australian racing. He did so much for us just in the way he lunged to the post that day, and it made people around the world stand up and take note. And he did what Farlap had done some 60 years earlier, and that to me is just at the top of the mountain.
At day's end, never let it be said Better Loosen Up didn't go the distance. Never. They return here when the cheering is done, back to the gentle whispers, the red gums and ironbarks, the sweet clovers. This is the other side of the mountain, and the days seem longer here. There are no clocks, no sectional times, and the long championship strides have been replaced by simple shuffles. In paddocks nearby, foals are just learning to run. Somewhere, someday, there might be another Superimpose, another Better Loosen Up. But not today, and probably not tomorrow, for it's a long way from dawn to eternity.